Hi everybody and welcome to Valley View Living. My name is Megan. I have 6 children from baby through to teens and we're raising them out here on a small farm in New South Wales, Australia. We have cows, chickens, pigs and a veggie patch and we're just having a go here at trying to grow as much food as we can, learning as we go. This morning was a busy school morning, but in amongst all that rush, I decided to get on a meal that would fill everybody and leave a lot of leftovers as well. And also our freezer stock of meat is getting a little low at the moment. It is our shopping week, so I'll have to get my big fortnightly order in shortly. And we're down to a few packs of beef mince. So I've gone out to our second freezer, which actually has our stock of home-raised pork in there. And I've just had a look through. We've got some sausages left. We have quite a bit of pork mince, one more pack of pork chops, and then I also found we had several roasts. I took this roast out last night and just let it defrost on the bench overnight. And this morning, this is about 8:30 in the morning that I am just patting this roast dry, both sides. Now, I did a little research last night. I'm no expert roast pork crackling chef. I haven't really cooked that much pork in the past, but now that we're raising our own, I'm learning as I go. So I did a bit of reading last night on how to get crispy pork crackling, and one of the things that came up regularly was to have the skin as dry as possible. So I'm just patting that skin down with a paper towel. I've chopped a few onions and some garlic and I'm putting that under. This cut is pork leg, I think. It wasn't actually listed, so it could be a shoulder, but I'm pretty sure it's a cut of pork leg. Anyway, so it doesn't really matter, does it? You know, it gets cooked the same way and it tastes very similar. So I've just put some veggies under there. We're putting olive oil into the pork skin so we can get some crispy crackling. And the main thing was to make sure every part of the skin was covered with plenty of salt. So I'm using sea salt there. And I'm just going to rub it into the skin as much as I can. Try to get every little part covered with this salt so that it will puff up and get crispy and golden in the oven. Now to get that crackling going and the pork meat cooked well without being overdone, I've just started it off at a very high heat, and then immediately once the roast is in the oven, you drop it down to a more temperate oven, about 160. And I'm going to cook this for 2.5 hours, and then after 2.5 hours, I'm going to turn the oven up to as hot as I can get it and let the crackling finish off for another 30 minutes. So this is about an hour into cooking, and I just found a can of apple cider in the fridge while I was rummaging around for these veggies. So I've poured the apple cider underneath the pork. It will just mix with the pork juices and the vegetable juices and become a very tasty gravy in the end. We had some homegrown pumpkin floating around in the fridge that's been there for a while. This was grown by friends of ours and very kindly given to us. It's been sitting around and I'm definitely going to roast it all up today. I love roast pumpkin. It just turns out so sweet and tasty, and you don't need to do much with it. Just make sure you roast it until it's really caramelized on the outside. Those are the best bits. And if it's a good pumpkin, I will definitely leave the skin on as well. Pumpkin skin. Is this just an Australian delicacy, or do other countries around the world, do you leave the skin on when you roast the pumpkin? So I'm going to cut that up and just pop it in a tray. I will bake it for the last hour of the pork's roasting time. And I also have some leftover baked potatoes from a dinner earlier in the week. And the twice baked potatoes are just really good. Good resistant starch, good for your gut health. So I'm going to dice them up, pop them on a separate tray, and I will cook them after I have removed the pork and allowed it to rest for about half an hour. So the twice baked potatoes will cook super fast, of course. They're already cooked all the way through. They just need to crisp up in the high heat. It absolutely feels like autumn here around the farm at the moment. Now when we go for a walk in the morning, shoes are a must. The grass is very wet and it's getting quite cold as well. We already have the heater or the fire going by about 4 in the afternoon. It just feels cool outside. You go for a walk and even though you don't need winter woolies yet, you can just feel that your face feels a bit cold and you're just starting to feel it. It is absolutely beautiful though. We have had intermittent rain this season, so it is not too dry and brown outside, which can be very common in Australia through certain times of the year. And I know we have drought across Australia in certain places right now, so I'm very thankful for any rain that we do get. I find that if we just get a good soaking rain once every 4 to 5 weeks, and by that I mean a good heavy rain that sticks around for one whole day and one whole night, then we are set. That will fill our tanks and give us enough water here to use for all our water needs, showering, dishwashing, laundry, and that will last to the next rainy period if it's in 4 to 5 weeks' time. We don't actually drink our rainwater here. We do order spring water for drinking purposes. It wouldn't be enough water here and it's not filtered adequately for us to use as drinking water. So I've just had a request for a mid-morning snack before we have our lunch, and we went with a strawberry milkshake. It's so easy for me to make this. Everything is within arm's reach. I just pop in some honey, some vanilla essence, some strawberries right from the freezer to make it nice and cold, and some of our lovely local dairy milk. I did decide I wanted to go the whole hog today, so to speak, even though it's only a leg that we're eating, and make some applesauce, and we're also having gravy and also just some frozen peas. So we got those bonus frozen peas. They're just something I always forget to order in the shopping. We do use them. And the peas are pretty popular veggie around here. The kids all eat peas, I think all of them do. And we just serve them, boiled up as you do, with a pat of butter on top and some salt, and they seem to go down pretty well. And of course they're such an easy green vegetable to cook. I'm not objectionable at all to the old frozen pea, but we received these ones in our bonus little shopping you might have seen in my grocery haul, and I decided to pop them on for lunch today. This is the leg roast after 3 hours in the oven. As I said, that lasts 30 minutes at a really high heat, as hot as your oven goes. And the crackling seems to have turned out pretty well. So I'm happy with that. Now I'm just going to get going on a pan gravy. Gravy is very popular around here. My son especially, I think it's his favourite food. He seems to think it is an entire food group on its own. So I'm just melting some butter in the cast iron pan. I've put in a little cassava flour to be the thickening agent, and then I'm going to use some of the packet stock that I got in my grocery haul. This is the Maggie Beer brand. It's the best brand that I've found available at the supermarket. I know you can get much better brands online, but I don't mind the ingredients in this stock. I think it's reasonably priced, and it's a product that we use when I can't make my own. and I'm fine with that. So we're going to use this as our gravy base, and basically I just whisk away until it is thick, and then I'm going to use all these pork juices, which includes all the garlic and onion juices, the apple cider that's now cooked off and amalgamated with the pork juices, and I'm going to whisk that in to our tasty pork gravy. Our experience with raising pigs for the table has been a positive one. We purchased the sow pregnant. She arrived and had maybe a month more with us before she gave birth to a litter of, I believe it was 7 piglets, and most of them were male, 5 male, 2 female. We sold 2 of the piglets to help cover costs, and then we were left with 3 males and 1 female. My maths is not mathing there, so I don't know, maybe we only had 6 piglets. I don't know. I really do need to get a farm book and note these things down. But anyway, we have kept the female, and she is now keeping her mother company in the paddock, and we raised up the 3 boys for the table. Now, you do not want, obviously, brothers and sisters to be interbreeding and causing those kinds of issues. So we had the boys butchered before they reached maturity, and everything worked out just fine. They were a little small, so I believe they netted about 35 kilos each. We ended up, from the 3 pigs, with 100 kilograms of meat. Obviously, if you wait until a pig is full grown, you will get 100 kilos easily from a full-grown pig. But we wanted to handle it this way because we did not want to castrate the males, and we did not want to manage 2 separate paddocks, and it's been absolutely no problem. All the chops, all the roasts were still a good usable size, and we also turned a side into bacon with no issue at all. Raising meat for the table never really stops being a confronting situation or experience. Even when you know that you are caring for that animal for the purpose of it then nourishing your family, the act of butchering an animal is always one that gives you pause to think, really makes you appreciate that animal. And I believe that we really should still connect with them and care for them and respect them as an animal while we have them, even though they are destined for the table. I've been having a look through the cupboards and trying to be creative with using up some of the stock that I have while I wait for a new grocery delivery this week. So this is an old favourite that we haven't made for quite a while. The ratios are important here. It's best to stick to the recipe so that all the tastes really work out for this one. I'll put the recipe in the description box for you below. This is a really healthy, nourishing, simple freezer fudge, and it does end up with a good chew, and it does end up sweet and dense and fudgy. My kids absolutely love this. I can't really keep it in the freezer long enough. It will be snacked on consistently, and I'm so happy about that when essentially what they're eating is just peanut butter, maple syrup, a little salt, and that's about it. I've put together a very simple topping for this one. It doesn't really impart any flavour, but it does give a little crisp bite to the top and definitely makes the kids excited over who gets the chocolatey pieces. So all it is an equal amount of cacao powder melted down in more coconut oil. Just drizzle it over the top and grab something sharp like a knife, or I've just got a skewer here, and just make some kind of squiggly design on the top. Then you're going to pop this, it doesn't even need a lid or any kind of sealing or covering. You can pop that straight into the freezer, and ours was ready to be cut up and served within an hour. If you manage to keep sweets around the house a little longer than we do, this is a wonderful one to just have stored in the freezer. It's probably considered a keto-friendly snack, I would think. It's definitely gluten-free, it's paleo, it's really easy to fit into all diets. I love that time in the afternoon. If I've put in the work in the morning to make sure that we've gotten the school done, so I've moved from child to child and moved my way through that list, and I feel like I've put some effort into a good meal for either lunch or dinner so that we are feeling well and functioning at our best. I love that time when I've achieved those things in the afternoon and I can just feel the weight lift of the to-do list being ticked off, and I love to get outside and just play with my kids. Really, it feels to me like all these kids want is to be present and with me while I'm doing my work, and that makes them happy and they can play alongside, and we all work together because play is their work. Thanks for joining me here today as I go about my homemaking, cooking for my family, and getting these farm chores done. I love to have your company. If you've enjoyed the content today, please feel free to like, to comment, or to subscribe so that you can keep up with me and see what we post next time. Bye!